Hey guys, I am back, and what a fun election day it was. I'm now recovering from that. It's been a busy week, so I haven't really kept up on videos and everything, and it's just the beginning of the month. But I made a post on Instagram, and it was shared to Facebook, of course, about my election day carry. And I decided I was going to pull an old Safe Queen out and let it see the light of day again. And it was this, which is, you know, as knives go, it's pretty obscure. It's a Benchmade gold class, and it's a weird one because, you know, typically a gold class knife is pretty fancy looking, you know, and this is very utility, not very fancy. It just sort of is. In fact, it is nearly identical looking to just a regular old Benchmade blue class knife, which is the Benchmade 755 MPR mini pocket rocket. And it is, I would say, I would put it out there, one of the least, you know, treasured Benchmade gold class knives. And let me back up. So I'm sure there are some people out there going, what is a gold class knife? You know, gold class is Benchmade's highest end, and some of them sell for thousands of dollars. And what they'll do is they will really dress it up, upgrade materials and all sorts of stuff, and make it a very limited edition, so hard to get your hands on, and also pretty valuable as they go. So, you know, take something like a normal 940, and there have been quite a few gold class 940s, I believe. So this one is, well, this is actually a special edition 940. Okay, it's a limited edition itself, but we'll just use it for the example because I gave my original 940 to somebody. But, you know, standard, you know, materials, the aluminum, coating, blade, all that, right? And then what they'll do in a gold class is they will fancy the hell out of it, right? So we've got upgraded steel CPM M4 with a Cerakote coating on it. We upgrade the aluminum handles to carbon fiber bolsters with beautifully anodized titanium scales, you know, and this is not one of the fanciest gold classes you'll ever see. Very often they involve Damascus blades and all sorts of inlays and everything, but I really like this one. So, you know, and the price goes up significantly. Usually for a gold class you're looking at, I mean, $500–600 easy, and then some, depending on what it is. But a gold class usually, I mean, some people will carry their gold class and EDC it, and I think that's just a way of showing off, look, my gold class. I have 3 gold class knives, and they don't normally see the light of day, because to me, they're an investment piece. But one of them, this one, the 7505, to me is, I mean, you could see this one's got some wear and tear on it, because I saw it and I wanted it, but it doesn't have all the fancy. I mean, look at it. It looks production-wise almost identical to a regular production line knife. Now, I will also say that this knife has come in 2 different variations. It's the 7505-132, and there's and then the fancy as fuck edition, the 131. Now, I never got my hands on the 131. It was a $1,200 knife, you know, and hold on, here's right from Benchmade, here's the difference between the two. So you see the 131 was, you know, also titanium, but lightning strike carbon fiber, also M390 blade, right? But you saw it had a carbon fiber inlay, and it had a 2-tone blade, you know, stonewash, and then hand rub satin flats and everything, bronze finish on the titanium. So it was a much fancier version of this, and they only made 100, a limited production run of 100. This guy is, so they call this an unlimited limited run. So what unlimited limited means is that they will, for a time period, they will just, as long as there's a demand, they'll keep making them. They will stop making them after a while, but there's no set production number of them. They'll just crank out a batch. Now, you know, I don't know how many in total were made. I'm not sure, and I've asked some experts that know Benchmade really well. Hey guys, how many were out there? I know they go up to at least $9.99. I don't think it broke 1,000. But in the short time these things were available, I know that blades were numbered up to $9.99. Now you can see I have number 46. But, still, only 1,000 available makes it, in the world of knives, that's still a very limited number. But I kind of think that, what I was originally going to say in the beginning, when you think of gold class knives, they're usually very, very sought after for their collectability, but also for being works of art. And I think that when we talk about Benchmade, gold class being very artistic and being very sought after, I get the feeling that this one is the least sought after, the least liked, the least loved of the Benchmade gold class. And I think there's some reasons why. And, we'll talk about them in this. It is number one, it is a big hunk of clunky knife. This is, a Seibert design, but it was designed in conjunction. It was designed by Benchmade's staff designers with Seibert. It wasn't like he sat down and said, I'm going to come up with this, and there it is. It's very different from the mini pocket rocket. It has a great sound. It is one of my least favorite Benchmade knives. I've gotten to like it a little bit more over time, but I've done some tuning on it myself. It's a very interesting design. It's small and chunky. It was actually my first experience with M390 steel, but it's got a very interesting feature where it's got that stop pin is cut in ways that it's not all even all the way around. So you adjust your lockup here by adjusting that stop pin to the different surfaces. I don't remember if it's octagon or hexagon or what it is, but you can actually adjust your lockup by adjusting that stop pin, and that controls how far back the blade and how up it goes. Minute adjustments, but they matter. It was a very popular Benchmade model, the mini pocket rocket, and then they came up with an even years and years later a tinier version called the micro pocket rocket, which I don't have because it's just so tiny. But as Benchmade knives go, it has a lot of the elements. Nicely machined G10, titanium. This is a newer clip. There was an older clip that was fancier, more machined like this. As you can see, no options for tip up or tip down, and a rather thick blade for the size of the knife. But it was a tiny workhorse of a knife. It really was, and people really did enjoy it. Something about the size and the shape that very, very chunky and thick, takes up a lot of space in your pocket. So basically, your 7505, which they also go by the MLK, it is a huge knife. The price tag on this one was about $600, so it's half of the 131, which is all big and fancy. And I think people kind of, when it came out, they compared it to the Striders, to the Hinderers, to the Curtises, to things like that. And I'm not saying anything about it not being built well. It is built tough. It's a big, tough knife. And, a lot of people said, well, it's like the big brother version of the 755. And that's kind of why they gave it the 7505. And if you guys know that Benchmade's numbering system, a 4-digit model number indicates something in the Benchmade system. Anybody? They give the 4-digit numbers to automatic knives. We're going to get to that in a little bit. This also has, though, the hexagon or octagon or whatever it is stop pin that you can adjust to adjust your lockup for optimal stuff. This guy got very sticky when the lockup was in certain positions. I've never messed with the stop pin on this. It's a gold class knife. It is engineered outstandingly well. It's nearly a 4-inch blade, so that makes it illegal in a lot of places. You can see it definitely shares family lineage and lines. Same titanium, same green G10, a little bit more, milling that goes into it, but same general shape and everything. this fits the hand very, very nicely. You know, and I used to carry it around a little bit back in the days in Florida. And yes, it's a gold class, but it doesn't have those fancy elements. I feel kind of like this was an exercise for Benchmade in approaching that Hinderer Strider SMF market. You know, that's what I feel like. And I almost kind of feel like they felt, these are all my opinions, you know, and assumptions. I felt like they couldn't approach that price point in the market without calling it gold class. Now they came out with the Anthem later, which was like a $400, almost $500 knife. But it was, you know, all solid titanium. It was milled from one block of titanium, but this was a different kind of thing for them. Now this has a hidden feature too. You can see how easily it works as a manual knife, but this is a dual action knife. So it works manual, and then you'll see it's got this little cutout here. It's one of the weirdest automatic switches I've ever seen. And people had trouble with this whenever I'd show it to them. This is your switch. This is a button opener right here. You push this up as you're holding the knife. So thumb here. Right, let me make sure I got it. See, I don't know. I want to make sure I'm showing you the action so you can kind of see. Watch the movement of this little slab. See how it goes up? And then you've got your automatic opener. Now, I'm not sure why you need that, because it's a heavy spring. It's such a smooth opening knife, you know? It is just, I don't know if it's a gimmicky thing. I can't imagine any situation where you would need that automatic opening over the manual opening, except to look cool or maybe scare somebody. But it's there, and it's kind of a unique system. I haven't seen anything else that uses that system. It's cool if you want an automatic opening knife and you live in one of those places where it's illegal, because I don't think many people are gonna jump on that and just know that is your, you know, you see a button, you're tempted to push a button. You're not tempted to start pushing up and down on pieces of the knife on bolsters and stuff. And if you don't know that's there, you know, you're probably not likely to try to open the knife with it. But there it is. Once it's open, you can't really push on it again either. It's just a very, very interesting system. A little grindy. You can hear as it closes, resetting that switch. This hasn't been oiled in a long time. I mean, like I said, it's been sitting in the drawer forever. It probably could use a little bit of tender loving care. I have never disassembled this knife. I mean, I'm assuming it's a coil spring in there. I've never done it. I've just never done it. But it's on bronze washers, as you can see. This is in the days before bearings being, you know, so standardized and for everybody. So just on bronze washers, and if I know Benchmade knives the way I like to think I do, probably have a coiled up spring in there. So many of their automatic knives use that system. And there you go. Big piece of M390 steel. M390 is an outstanding steel in terms of edge retention, corrosion resistance. Very nice with the flow-through design there. Easy to keep clean. If you were going to rugged use this thing, I mean, you could. It's built like a tank. It is. As is the MPR, like a smaller tank. Maybe a Bradley fighting vehicle versus an Abrams. But it has some skeletonization in the liners in there, and I don't know how well you're going to be able to... I always say, I don't know how well you're going to be able to see them, but big cutouts in the steel liners. You know, the lock side here is all titanium, with just this little overlay of G10 on it. You've got a very strong, large piece of titanium forming your lock. But, you know, I see a lot of posts in a couple different knife groups I'm in. One is specifically a Benchmade group. Another one is just kind of like a buy-sell trade, everybody looking for different knives. you see all sorts of people looking for all different Benchmade gold class knives. Nobody ever talks about this one. Nobody ever says, hey, I really want to get my hands on one. Not even the 131 edition, the fancier, 100 only. People just, it's kind of, I feel like it, again, I feel like it's the forgotten gold class. It's the one that people just were like, yeah, that's a cool design, but it's not a gold class level knife. It's one of those ones that people just, it didn't get the traction. They weren't feeling it. It didn't have all the cool materials as some of the other ones. It's almost like they just slapped the gold class label on a big old regular knife to justify the price. And I think people really did feel like that. The Cybert came back later, and they made the 757 Vicar. And there was some controversy with this guy too, because the pre-production, and a lot of us, I pre-ordered this back in, I think, 2014. I pre-ordered this, and they showed us it having a different blade that was really cool. It had kind of a nightmare grind in the middle of it, and it looked really cool, and like a little recurve. And apparently Benchmade just could not pull off the production of that model, and it came out with a very, still interesting looking, but very vanilla looking blade compared to what it was originally supposed to have. And this is another one that just, I think it never really took off. And I think people were disappointed with, what came out of the 757. I'm sorry, the 7505, and then, they were looking for sort of, when we saw what the Vicar was supposed to be, we're like, okay, cool, redeem the Cybert name with Benchmade. They went to S30V, which is not as good as M390, but we were like, okay, that's fine. But then, when they didn't tell people they were switching the blade. I didn't know the blade was switched until I opened the package. I opened the box. I was heading to weapons school, TDY, 6-month TDY down in Vegas. But this is neither here nor there. This is just, sort of, I think that a lot of people were let down here, and that affected a lot of this. I mean, it had its own fiasco, but I don't know. I forgot all about this guy until I was looking for what I was going to carry, and then all of a sudden, it was like there it was. And I've been messing with it over the last couple days now, and I'm like, why do I not use it? I can't think of it as a gold class knife because it doesn't have the artistic, the artisticness that a standard gold class does. I think of it as an expensive Benchmade. It's a heavy duty Benchmade, and you know what? It is a heavy duty knife. It is built like a hard use knife. I think this should have been a black class knife. I really do think you could put this up with the Contigo, with the Adamus. Now, of course, those guys are a quarter of the price, maybe a little bit, less than this thing. When you look at the numbers. But if you're talking about where does this fit in, I don't know why this is gold class. All the materials that are on this are used, like I said, in a blue class knife. It just happens to be smaller. It is a bigger version of a blue class knife. I'm not sure how this ended up being the gold class. I think, again, my thoughts, they had the fancy gold class version, only 100 were going to be made, and maybe somebody at Benchmade said, we can squeeze a little bit more out of this if we have the unlimited, limited version of the, the not so fancy. I think they knew $1,200, for the gold class knife was a bit much. And there's always going to be those diehards that are going to find the money to spend, but there's a market for people that don't have that money, but they have the standard gold class money. They're going to spend it, and when I was on active duty, I had that money to spend, and so that's what I spent it on. And I was really excited to get this guy. I was, and I still like it. I like this knife as a kick-ass, heavy-duty knife to carry around. It's not an EDC knife. So it's just an interesting, I don't know, kind of anomaly in the gold class lineup, I think. I thought it was interesting to revisit. I did the very first unboxing years ago, and of course I'll put a link. I'll put an end screen link to that if you want to check it out. I really haven't done anything with it since then. Not at all. I think I'm going to start carrying it around. I just don't think, I know it technically it's limited, technically it's gold class, but I've already put so much wear on it that it might as well be something I carry around as a, the way I would carry a Hinderer or a Strider or something like that. So I am going to start abusing it. I'm going to teach it a lesson. No, anyway, I'm wondering, if anybody else agrees with my kind of analysis, or do you have a different opinion? Do you really, do you guys think, is there somebody that says like, no, gold class is gold class and that's what it is? What do you think? What are your thoughts in general on this? Nobody ever talks about the 7505. I never see it brought up. I would love to know. What do you guys think? There might be folks watching this who say, damn, I never even knew that knife existed. That'd be interesting to know too. All right, I gotta put some oil in there. That's a terrible little squeak. Anyway, you guys are all absolutely awesome. I appreciate every single one of you, and I'll be back again real soon.